Coming up on Meet the Leaders, it is predicted by 2024 Nassau County's population will decrease by approximately 3%. Why is that? Well, Meet the Leaders starts right now. Hi, I'm Pat Halpin. Welcome to Meet the Leaders, the show getting you to the heart of local government right here and right now. Major demographic changes are taking place that will affect the local economy. My next guest is addressing the demographic trends that are happening on Long Island and has a vision on how to keep our people here. Take a look. Nassau County Comptroller George Maragos joins me. Welcome, Comptroller Maragos.
Thank you for having me.
This is not only a very interesting report, but I think it is a warning bell for what's happening here on Long Island as we speak and what it means in less than 10 years. So give us the top line data. You say, for example, that overall Nassau County population will decrease by 3%. But what's happening with groups in between, the 0 to 10, the young adults, and the elderly?
Well, we're seeing, you're right, Pat, our population is projected to decrease. It has already decreased by about 1.1% just in the last 5 years. But we're also seeing our young kids, 0 to 9-year-old, we have less kids in school. That population has decreased by about 16%, and it's projected to decrease by another 16%. Or 60,000 less kids that we're going to have in school in just 10 years going out.
When I read your report, you said that is a 30% reduction
over what we had in 2000.
In 2000.
Correct. 60,000 less kids in school. You can imagine what impact that's going to have on our schools, our taxes, and our real estate.
Absolutely. And let's talk about seniors. People over the age of 60.
Right, and we're also seeing our population is aging. It's growing older, like you and I are getting older. Mm-hmm. So we see that population, 60 plus, growing from about 22% to about 27% of our population in just 10 years.
So let's talk about what the implications are of that. And let's take each one. You made an interesting point that already our population, the Nassau County population has gone down by 1.5%, another 3% on top of that in less than 10 years. That's nearly 5%.
Well, in total.
In total.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean in terms of, let's say, income? What does it mean in terms of housing? What does it mean in terms of sales tax revenues for Nassau County?
They're all negative, as you can imagine. And the reason we're seeing the population growth is because we're not keeping our young people here. We don't have the exciting, high-paying jobs for those people to stay here. So as those people are leaving, it's going to certainly have an effect on our real estate prices and school taxes that are going to keep going up. So, and those are not good trends.
Those are not good trends. So let's talk about young people. Mm-hmm. You say there will be a 30% reduction, 60,000 less students in public schools in Nassau County and private schools.
Right.
What does that mean for education? What does it mean for school budgets? What does it mean for, frankly, the future? Because they're our seed corn. They are our future.
Oh, absolutely. And that's going to continue, because if there's 60,000 less kids coming up, those 0 to 9 are going to become 10 to 19 and 20 to 29. We're going to have a rippling effect throughout our economy and throughout our population. not only in the next 10 years, but generations ahead. And we have to do something to reverse that.
And of course, that's a snapshot, a projection that goes to 2000. Assuming that those trends are not changed,
Right.
then that number will increase. So it'll mean schools will be closed, teachers will be laid off. It means that what we know of public education today will be much different.
Absolutely.
Now, what about people over the age of 60? You say there we're going to see a dramatic increase, 24%.
Well, we're going to see an increase because, as a percentage, because we're losing our younger population. We're losing our young kids. We have less children in school. Right. So that inevitably, we're going to have more people, growing older, staying here.
And what does that mean in terms of services? I mean, frankly, as we get older, I have a mother who's 94, and she's, God bless her, she's strong person. That generation, what is a strong generation? They went through the Depression and World War II and all of that, so they're strong. But she needs more help. She needs, she has greater utilization of health care. We have somebody at home helping her. I mean, those are all expensive costs.
Absolutely, and we're going to see those costs in senior homes proliferating on Long Island. Higher costs, higher medical costs, and I'm not sure we want to be going there. Obviously, we have to provide for our seniors, but we cannot do it at the cost or on the backs of our young families.
And as you point out, the number of young families will be shrinking. So those people that are in their earning, at the stage of life where they're earning money and paying taxes and spending money, that group as a whole will decrease. So, Comptroller, why did you issue this report? Typically a controller, and I have it right here, typically a controller will issue a report about government spending. You will analyze economic trends as it affects the county budget. You'll audit services that are being provided. Typically, you don't see a county controller's office say, let's raise this up a little bit and do an economic trend
Pat,
analysis.
you're absolutely right. I've taken a broader view of the responsibility of the controller, not only to ensure currently that we're fiscally responsible, but also to look ahead and make sure that we have a vibrant economy in the next 10 and 20 years for our young people, so that our young people stay here. Because we should, I want to take the long term and make sure that we have the right policies in place and we're doing the right things in order for our economy to continue to grow and provide opportunities for our young people to stay here.
Well, one of the things that I appreciated about your report is that you just didn't lay out the facts in terms of the current trends and what they would mean to us as a region. By the way, if you live in Suffolk County, don't take any solace in this, because Suffolk County's trends are comparable to this, but Nassau tends to be a little bit older. That said, you also laid out a vision of some of the things we should do, some of the strategic assets we have that we really need to focus on so we can build it out.
Oh, absolutely.
And grow and create the kinds of jobs.
Absolutely. We looked at what other regions are doing that are successful, that are growing their economy, that are stealing our young families. And we said, why can't we do the same? And let's draw on our natural resources. What are the things that we're good at? And let's all bring them together and become good at something. Build an identity.
Now you've identified a cluster, and we have a chart we're going to put up of colleges, universities, and other big institutions here that should be kind of a basis for what you say could be done.
Well, the healthcare is our biggest industry, our biggest employer in Long Island. We have some of the best minds in the world right here. The problem is that they're all operating as individual entities, and we're not harnessing all that capability that we have to make the whole much greater than the parts. So we're saying, what successful regions have done is bring their natural advantages together. They harness them into what is called an industry cluster. Let's bring them all together and let's become the best in the world at something.
In other words, create a world-class industry cluster.
Absolutely.
And you said something very interesting, which is that is exactly what we did with the defense industry with World War II and
correct.
After.
We had an identity. We were the nation center for aerospace and defense right here in Long Island. maybe 40, 50 years ago sounds a long time, but it's not. That was in the 60s.
Okay.
And that was an identity, and we've lost that.
All right. I want to take a short break. I want to come back and talk about how you think this cluster can be organized in a way that will create a lot of conductivity, literally, between them. So we'll have more with Nassau County Comptroller George Maragos right after the break, so stay with us.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Frank, did you touch the router?
Not me.
Are you sure?
I didn't touch the router, Grace.
I saw you by the socket.
I think I would remember unplugging the router.
Well, I can't connect.
Not my fault.
Can you check?
Tell you, I didn't unplug anything.
I'm gonna call them.
At Optimum, we know some problems are easy to solve.
Dang it.
When they prove a little more complex, we're here 24/7.
You fixed it.
No wonder more people choose Optimum Online than any other internet provider.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to MTL here with Nassau County Comptroller George Maragos. Comptroller Maragos, we were talking about the report that you issued regarding what you see are very disturbing demographic changes affecting Nassau County, and for that matter, the whole region. And you've also outlined some plans and ways that you think we can stem that tide. Now, what I find so interesting about it is that not only did you say that overall population will decrease by 3%, but that the population of elderly will increase by 27%, which is a big expense, and also the population of young people, children, between 0 and 9 years old will be reduced by over 30%. And when you think about that, Nassau County and Suffolk County, and for that matter, this whole region, has prospered through growth. In fact, I was just listening to a report about the anniversary of the Verrazano Bridge, and the time 50 years ago, because it's today they opened it. They said that this will bring unparalleled prosperity to Brooklyn and to Staten Island because of growth. It was always about growth.
Correct.
Because everybody understood that with growth you have prosperity. So how do we take this cluster that you've identified of healthcare and universities and other types of industries and businesses that we have here and create the kind of hub, the conductivity, the connection that other areas have?
Well, we need obviously to have a buy-in by all these institutions to want to become the best in the world, and then us as government, both the state, federal, and local, to support them to establish the best research institutions to build them, and then we need to kind of somehow interconnect them all together so that they feed off one another. And we can do that by a rapid rail system, a light rail system, a monorail system. We should have a 22nd century local transportation system. We need to get away from being Manhattan-centric and build our own economy by having a high-speed transportation system that interconnects all these universities, the hospitals, the research centers, as well as better transportation into the city. And then we need a world-class telecommunications infrastructure as well. Not only, again, to improve intercommunication amongst those institutions, but to also have the best connectivity in the world and consequently attract the best minds here. But this is because Long Island is still one of the best places in the world to live.
It is, but have other areas been able to figure this out? Other parts of the country, we're not unique in the sense that we've seen disturbing trends, but when you look at areas, for example, like Brooklyn or Queens, 20 years ago, people would say, forget it.
Right.
Now it's changed. So the point is, there have been things that have happened that have dramatically changed the outlook and the trends for given areas. Give us some examples.
Absolutely. Silicon Valley is world class. That's where all our, our cell phone technology comes from. Our best ideas, our best minds. Capital investment is huge. And that Silicon Valley is just 4 square miles, smaller than Nassau County. And yet it has a world-class reputation, and it's the source, the center, the creation of all our technology that is making America world leaders. Our financial industry is concentrated in Manhattan. Our people work out here. Some of them are employed in Manhattan. We have North Carolina with their triangle, the university triangle. A lot of the banking and IT companies are fleeing there. New York City has also developed in Brooklyn a very vibrant IT sector, technology sector. We should be able to do that out here in Long Island in the healthcare industry.
Is part of it also creating the right kind of housing mix that's necessary so that somebody who's in their 20s is able to find something that's reasonable and reasonably close to work?
Well, I think all those benefits are going to follow, because if we have a vision, based on an economic vision that will create jobs, then you're going to find that you're going to have the appropriate, affordable housing and good housing being developed around those clusters. You're going to have your hotels, you're going to have great restaurants, entertainment. All that starts flourishing once we establish a vision.
And it's kind of like the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking also about what Mayor Bloomberg did in luring Cornell to come and say, we want to build a major center right there at Roosevelt Island. If you look at Roosevelt Island now, it's already beginning the transformation, but prior to that, it was just kind of a sleepy place.
Absolutely, and it takes that type of bold initiative to lay the groundwork, to lay the anchor, and then things will happen, development will happen, people will come, our young people will come or stay. Because it's an exciting environment, it provides them with exciting career opportunities. It's just overall an exciting and interesting place to live.
And and what I think about as it relates to Roosevelt Island is that we already have the thought leaders, we have the universities, we have North Shore LIJ, we have major institutions already here. We just need to, as you say, create this hub and conductivity, and the other things will come out of that. Let me get your thoughts on where does a report like this go? This is a great report. There's a lot of great information. Obviously, people can go to your website and get it. But how do you put this into the public domain in a way where policymakers, legislators, town officials begin to think about this and help them sharpen their focus?
Well, we've already mailed it to all the thinkers, the opinion makers, the industry leaders in Long Island, throughout Long Island, both Nassau and Suffolk, so they have a copy of it. We're going to be presenting today, there's a very interesting and timely conference, Vision Long Island. We're going to be presenting there. We're going to be distributing the report there. I spoke to our presiding officer yesterday, Norma Gonzalez. She's planning to have hearings in late January, February. And that's the type of dialogue. So, I think that we're seeing already happening. And I'm thrilled that that's taking place.
And that's just the beginning, because those things tend to take on a momentum and a life of their own as you get it going. What I find so interesting about your report, aside from the fact that it's coming from the Comptroller's office, which typically doesn't issue these kinds of reports, although you as the Comptroller have to figure out whether or not estimates in terms of sales tax and property tax and government spending are accurate based on demographic trends and other economic data, is that this comes at a time when you and others are also studying the same thing, and they're coming to the same conclusion with separate independent reports.
And I think that's great. The more people we have that participate in this dialogue, I think the sooner we're going to come to a consensus, and we're going to start building that vision.
And they're all saying the same thing, which is, let's build that vision, but let's take deliberate steps to create the hub, the kind of conductivity that you're talking about. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We'll have more with Nassau County Comptroller. We're going to ask him about these red light red light cameras and also these school cameras that everybody's upset about, where everybody's getting a speeding ticket because they're going a little faster than they should be in the school zone. So stay with us. Meet the Leaders. We'll be back in 90 seconds.
Mom, can we get some ice cream?
Please, Mom, please.
No, we're having dinner soon.
Please.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
Frank, did you touch the router?
Not me.
Are you sure?
I didn't touch the router, Grace.
I saw you by the socket.
I think I would remember unplugging the router.
Well, I can't connect.
Not my fault.
Can you check?
Tell you, I didn't unplug anything.
I'm gonna call them.
At Optimum, we know some problems are easy to solve.
Dang it.
When they prove a little more complex, we're here 24/7.
You fixed it.
No wonder more people choose Optimum Online than any other internet provider.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Meet the Leaders, here with George Maragos, the Comptroller of Nassau County. Controller Maragos, let's talk about these speed cameras.
Must we?
Yeah, these are the ones that they put in front of school zones. And,
I understand.
Obviously Newsday has done a lot of stories about this, and I can't help but to look at the comments. And typically you'll see maybe 20 or 30 or 10 comments about a particular subject. This is generating hundreds and hundreds of comments. And what I found fascinating was that when the budget was put out there, you raised a concern to say that there's going to be a huge public outcry about